Welcome to the meeting of the State of Hawaii Board of Agriculture and Biosecurity. I am the Chair, Sharon Hurd. Prior to calling the meeting to order, Jason will explain how the public can participate in this hybrid meeting, which can be accessed by video conference, telephone, or in person.
As an attendee, your microphone will be automatically muted during the meeting, unless you are providing testimony. For each agenda item you wish to testify on, please click the Raise Hand button found on your Zoom screen. Board staff will individually enable each testifier to unmute their microphone. When recognized by the chair, please unmute your microphone before speaking and mute your microphone after you finish speaking in order to prevent audio feedback. When testifying, you will be asked to identify yourself and the organization, if any, that you represent. Each testifier will be limited to 2 minutes of testimony per agenda item. If you are dialing in by phone, when the chairperson asks for public testimony, you may indicate you want to testify by entering star and then 9 on your phone's keypad. After entering star and then 9, a voice prompt will let you know that the host of the meeting has been notified. When recognized by the chairperson, you may unmute yourself by pressing star and then 6 on your phone. A voice prompt will let you know that you are unmuted. Once you are finished speaking, please enter star and then 6 again to mute yourself. Thank you.
Testifiers are reminded that there is a 2-minute limit of testimony per agenda item. If there is anyone testifying in the room, please be sure to come up to the mic and identify yourself before you begin. Calling the meeting to order. 9:01. The meeting was called to order at 9:01 in the morning. Roll call vote. I will take a roll call vote of the board members present. When your name is called, please indicate your presence with a here or present, and state who, if anyone in the room over the age of 18, is present in the room with you. This also serves as a roll call vote. For each subsequent vote, I will ask if there are any objections or recusals. If there are none, then the motion will be approved on the same basis as this initial roll call. Sharon Hurd, present in the room, and Robert Hoff, DLNR ex officio.
Present and alone in the room.
Thank you, Robert. Welcome. Dr. Parwinder Grewal from C.F.R.
Alone and present.
Thank you, Dr. Grewal. Mark Takimoto, DBET ex officio.
Present, and I'm in kind of an open office.
Thank you, Mark.
People come and go. Yeah, they walk back and forth. Yeah.
So noted. Thank you. Diane Lay, Hawaii member.
Present and alone.
Thank you, Diane. The Kauai member seat is currently vacant. And Dr. Jason Moniz, member at large. Welcome, Jason.
Thank you. Present, alone.
Thank you. And currently, Ben Young is excused. And James Gomes, member at large. Jimmy? Jimmy? Did we lose Jimmy? No, you're there. We see you, Jimmy.
He's muted.
I'm muted, present and alone. Belakalikimaka.
Thank you, Jimmy.
Thanks, Carol.
Okay, so Nate. No, Nate. Did I call Nate? Sorry, Nate.
Good morning, members. Present and alone.
So we have quorum. Thank you very much, everyone. So approval of the minutes. Approving the minutes of the November 25th, 2025 meeting. May I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved, Diane.
Thank you,
Second,
Diane.
Jimmy.
Jimmy. Any comments from the public who wish to give testimony? Seeing none? Okay, thank you. And board discussion?
Chair, I'll abstain from the vote since I wasn't present at the meeting.
That would be Robert. Thank you, Robert. And hearing, seeing none, the motion is approved with one of the roll call. Oh, that's right, Robert. So we will do a roll call vote as there was one abstention. Dr. Grewal. We're voting on the motion to approve the minutes. Dr. Grewal?
Yes.
Thank you. And Mark?
Yes.
Thank you, Mark. Steinle,
Aye.
Nathaniel,
Aye.
and Dr. Jason Moniz was not here.
Abstain.
You can still vote, but thank you, and is excused. Jimmy,
Aye.
chair votes yes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have a good vote. The minutes have been approved as read. Okay, are there any other, I guess I don't need to ask, there are two, one recusal, one abstention. Moving on to the communication from divisions and administration. First thing on the agenda is A, agricultural loan division. Moving to item A1. The request for approval of one Class A loan for Jeremiah Blackhat. May I have a motion to approve the request?
So moved, Diane.
And
Second,
a
Jimmy.
second. Okay. Is there someone online? Presentation by staff? Oh, there it is. Okay, didn't see anybody. Go ahead.
Good morning, I'm Jillian Shivey with the Ag Loan Division. Thank you for taking the time. I'll be presenting two submissions this morning. The first request is for a Class A direct farm improvement loan for Mr. Jeremiah Blackhat. Doing business as Blackhat Enterprise. Mr. Blackhat has been running the aquaculture farm since 2016 in South Kona. The request is for $200,000 with a 4% fixed interest rate over a term of 30 years, with a monthly principal and interest payment of $955 until maturity. These funds will be used for debt consolidation, construction to expand the aquaculture site onto the 6.5-acre leasehold parcel, and supplies and working capital. Blackhat Enterprise is a family business on the Kona coast that started as an orchard and has expanded into aquaponic vegetables, tilapia, and koi. He's on 3 KSBE leases that make up about 20 acres in total. The current aquaculture system sits on 3-acre lease with the expansion planned on the neighboring lease, and that's the lease we're working with. Demands for the aquaponic vegetable outpaces his production and the footprint of his current production. So increasing his produce beds and tank space is needed to meet the demand. The orchard sits behind the hoop houses and is planted with mangoes, avocados, banana, ulu, and limes. He also breeds koi, and those fish provide additional effluent for the system. Earlier this year, the board approved for a loan guarantee with the lead lender of Feed the Hunger Fund. He has used those funds to plant an additional 80 orchard trees and construct one 8 by 100-foot bed. If approved, the state can expect the same dedication he has shown for nearly a decade to the orchard and aquaponic vegetable production. The proposed loan is conditional to consent to mortgage from KSBE, sufficient appraisal to meet statutory requirements. In the time it took to do this, we've received the appraisal. It has met the requirements. So based on the applicant's well-documented history with Feed the Hunger Fund, aquaculture and orchard business experience, demonstrated growth, marketability, and projected cash flow, staff recommends approval.
Thank you, Jillian. Does anyone from the public wish to give testimony?
No hands.
No hands. For discussion. Hearing, seeing, no hands. Any objections or recusals? Thank you. Hearing none, the motion is approved. Moving on to item A2, request for approval of one loan guarantee for Michael James Kawahikupulani shooting.
All
Is
right.
there a board? May I have a motion to approve the request?
So moved, Jimmy.
Thank you, Jimmy. Second.
Diane.
Second, Jason.
Second. Oh, or
Thank you,
Jay, yeah.
Diane.
Dr.
Thank you, Diane. Presentation by staff.
All right. The next request is for a loan guarantee for Michael James Kavohi Shuti, and we're just going to go with Kavohi for the remainder of this presentation, to purchase 2 drones, equipment, and the working capital. Kavohi registered his cow-calf operation KS Ranch as of October 5th, 2025. Previously, he's been working for his father's ranch, Z-Bar Ranch in Kamuela. Feed the Hunger Fund is requesting 80% loan guarantee on a $200,000 operating loan. Kavohi has 14 Angus cows and 10 wean-offs. He has recently secured his own 300-acre lease for KS Ranch, though he still simultaneously runs his cattle in the same pastures as his father. So he's not unfamiliar with the time needed to spray for fireweed and the difficulties the terrain poses. You might say he has firsthand experience doing that. Lifelong life. The drones can spray up to 55 acres an hour and have an added advantage of not needing to touch the ground, reducing the spread of potential other pests, like more traditional methods. Kavohi will be using the drones to help manage the forage in his pasture, but has sought additional letters of interest for what equates to about 2,750 acres, with more interest once operational for his custom hire drone service. The proposed loan term from Feed the Hunger Fund is 7 years with a fixed interest rate at 5.5%. The proposed repayment is $2,874 for principal and interest until maturity. The loan is secured by a first position financing statement on existing and new equipment. The lender is a community development financial institution and the loan is conditional on the guarantee being provided by the state ag loan division. The guarantee is required to offset the risk of loaning on the collateral available. The benefit for providing the guarantee to the state is that no state funds will be needed to be expended on the project, and further stewardship techniques used to control noxious weeds and other pests in the state will be made available. Approval of this loan guarantee is recommended based on Schuette's ranching ability, continued education, availability of mentorship, good credit history, adequacy of collateral, and projected profitability. Thank you.
Thank you, Jillian. Does anyone from the public wish to give testimony?
Okay.
No hands. Board discussion. Okay, Jimmy.
Is Mr. Schuette online? I have some questions.
He may be. Can I maybe field them if he's not available?
Okay, fine. Deal.
Yes.
I'm
He is.
curious.
He is available. He
Okay.
has his hand. Yeah. Recognizing Michael Schuette.
Are you there, Mr. Schuette?
Yes.
Aloha.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Thank you. I've got a few questions. I'm just curious, what's the average age of your cows?
The average age of our cows is about 6 years old.
6 years old, great. And how infested are you with the fireweed?
At the moment, I would say we've had grants before where my dad did the wet blade in the mowing, and in those pastures, we've noticed that the fireweed was able to not come back for about a year, and then we started seeing it popping up. And then with the grants to come back in, it's normally 5 years to be able to remow it. So with these drones, I believe that we can maintain and actually continue to spray the fireweed and suppress it from coming back up. That way we don't have to wait for 5 years to do it again. One, I can do it cheaper and quicker than the traditional methods that we've been doing.
Okay, my last question is, have your pastures been affected by the two-line spittle bug?
It has not. So far, we've been good. I've been in contact with Palani Ranch and approached them and seeing if my this drone operation would be beneficial to them. And they were interested in doing trials and experiments to see if it would work. One, because they're spraying, for the spittle bug, but they can only reach as far as their bikes and their side-by-sides can reach, right? Because they're just spraying off of the road, because there are a lot of lava rocks, hilly country where they are limited to the amount of affected area that they can treat. Where with this drone, I could get hills, lava rocks, and get it all without, without using roads or tires, I guess.
Yeah, and then Dr. Mark Thorne has some alternative methods too for planting different kind of grass varieties so you can get back other than just kikuyu, yeah?
Yeah.
One last question, just my curiosity. You listed your horses inventory. I just, out of curiosity, how many geldings, how many mares you have?
I have 3 geldings and 1 mare.
Okay, thank you so much. Happy holidays.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Yeah, I got questions.
Okay, go ahead, Dr. Moniz.
I'm not sure if this ag loan question or Michael's question, maybe both, but on the value of the cows at $3,000 a piece, I believe. Where's a market for those cows if they have to be liquidated?
So, well, those markets could be local ranchers, right? If they were looking to expand their cow herd. Worst case scenario, they go to a packing plant, if we can't. But if they're 6 years old, they still got a lot of life left in them to, baby making years. And, normally the cow is worth 1.5 times what the calf is worth, and the calf is worth $1,500 nowadays. So that's kind of where we came across that valuation.
Okay, it just it's for me that's a little high for Hawaii market, but and then the value of the horses. You purchased these horses recently and the
Uh,
ages.
the most recent horse that was purchased was last year.
Yeah. And the value of that purchase horse was,
25,000.
yeah.
And I'm going to have to pause this a little bit because I think we're touching on stuff that is behind the Exhibit A.
Yeah, I'm just questioning the accuracy of the value of the horses and the breeding cows. So just some caution there. If you had to liquidate those, I think you'd have a tough time getting those values in Hawaii. So, anyway, that's the only comments I had. I think
Thank you.
I like the project. I think it's a good project, Michael. Yeah, hope it's successful, and I may even see some work for it also.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you. Moving on to Jimmy Gomes.
Yeah, I agree with Jason, but I think what Michael was saying too is because a cow's average age is 6 years old, is the longevity of how many more times that cow can get calves over durations before he calls them. But I understand where you're coming from, Jason. That was just my manao.
Okay, thank you. Any other board discussion? Hearing, seeing none, calling for the vote. Are there any objections or recusals? Hearing, seeing no objections, the motion is approved.
Thank you.
Moving on to the next agenda item. Thank you, everyone. Moving on to agenda item B1, request for approval of use occupancy agreement, UOA, in favor of the United States Navy to install and use a gate on the animal quarantine station property. May I have a motion to approve the request?
So move.
Thank you, Jason. May I have a second?
Second, Jimmy.
Okay, thank you, Jimmy. Presentation by staff.
Good morning, Chair Hurd, members of the board. I'm Isaac Maeda, Administrator for the Animal Industry Division. And there's a use occupancy agreement that we're wanting to execute with the Navy, and it would be for 5 years unless it's terminated sooner, or it will also possibly to automatically renew for successive 5-year terms. And this UOA is to allow the Navy to access the property and install a gate on the perimeter fence towards the entrance driveway of the station, animal quarantine station. The U.S. Navy wants a desire to construct, operate, use, maintain, and repair one gate on the perimeter fence for their vehicles and equipment to access property adjacent to AQS for the construction of a water treatment plant. The plant will not be on AQS property. So the gate is only in the perimeter fence, and the UOA is only to enter the property through the driveway and to access the gate and leave the property. During the operation of the gate, there would be security provided by the Navy to monitor it so that anything, going in and out through that gate will be controlled and it's not just fully open. On page B26 of the board packet, there's a depiction of the AQS property showing the driveway that enters the property, and there's a red arrow, double-headed arrow that enters the driveway, and then at the end of that arrow is where the proposed gate is on the perimeter fence. And that's how, that's the extent of the use on the AQS property. Able to find the B26. So that anyway depicts the location of the gate and how it's gonna look. The Animal Industry Division recommends the board approve the request for the division to execute a use occupancy agreement in favor of the U.S. Navy so that they may install, use, maintain, and monitor a gate at AQS located at 99951 Halava Valley Street, Aiea, Hawaii, 96701.
Thank you, Dr. Maeda. Does anyone from the public wish to give testimony? No
We
hands.
also have members from the U.S. Navy in case, they're not gonna testify, but in case there were any questions that the board had
Thank you, board.
about the gate.
We have some Navy personnel in the room to answer questions, should there be any. So, board discussion. Any objections or recusals? Oh, I'm sorry.
I have a quick question for Dr. Maeda. So, at the entrance from the public roadway, the quarantine station doesn't have a gate, correct?
No, there is. There's a front gate. So the use of this gate will also coincide with the regular hours of operation of the station because the very front gate at Halava Valley Street, there's a front gate that the station, it's a station gate. So that has to be open for this second gate to be accessed.
So the plan, I'm sorry, I didn't see in the proposal how that's handled in terms of off hours for your operation, the quarantine station operation and the other facility out there.
Yeah, it would have to be during the hours of operation that the gate is open unless there can always be an arrangement made for special occasions as long as we have notification and we can arrange to have somebody open the gate.
Okay.
Because we have staff that lives on property too.
Oh, okay. Okay. So if there was an emergency situation, then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. I'm sure you're always available too. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for all you do.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Diana. Thank you, Diana. Thank you, Isaac. Any other board discussion? No? Okay. Oh, sorry. Rob, go ahead, Rob.
Yeah, just a quick question for Dr. Umeda. It's not clear to me how you all in the public access the HDAB property. Are you going to be, is your operation going to be impacted, or public access to your offices going to be impacted by, the usage by the Navy?
It would only be impacted when there is an actual vehicle. For example, if there's a truck that is entering the driveway and then going to turn into the gate, there might be a very short delay because of that traffic. But it's not anything that we anticipate that would really affect, negatively affect operations or traffic flow.
Rob,
Thank
you
you.
okay? Thank you, Rob. Any other further board discussion? Hearing, seeing none. Are there any objections? Calling for the vote. Are there any objections or recusals? Hearing none, the motion is approved, unanimous. Okay, moving on
Thank
to.
you.
Thank you, Dr. Maeda. Moving on to item C1. Request for approval for the transfer of public lands from the Department of Land and Natural Resources to the Department of Agriculture and Biosecurity pursuant to Act 90, State Laws of Hawaii 2003, codified as Chapter 166E, Hawaii Revised Statutes, TNK number 2. She said, did they sign in? Because they did. Okay, thank you. Okay. Moving on, again, codified as Chapter 166E Hawaii Revised Statutes, CMK number 2, 1-8-001-003, portion Nakula Kaupo, Hana Island of Maui, Hawaii. May I have a motion to approve the request?
So moved, Jimmy.
Thank you, Jimmy, and seconded.
Second.
Thank you, Jason. Presentation by staff.
Good morning, Chair and board members. Kevin Moore, Agricultural Resource Management Division. Excuse me. This is one of the last few large pasture leases that has not had action by either the Board of Agriculture and Biosecurity or the Board of Land Natural Resources, but the Board of Land Natural Resources recently approved the transfer of a portion of the lease. So this is a 1,565 acre parcel in Kaupo, Hana. For a long time, it was on DLNR's do not transfer list. But there were some negotiations between the lessee and the DLNR, and they apparently agreed to carve it up so that 702 acres would come over to Department of Agriculture and Biosecurity. And the remaining 863 acres would stay with DLNR to become a part of the Kahiki Nui Forest Reserve. And so staff recommendation is to well, I guess I should add that we had staff do a physical inspection of the premises on December 5, and everything appeared to be in order with the lease and the property. The lease is in full compliance. So the recommendation is that staff review the proposed encumbrance and perform its due diligence, and recommends that the board approve the transfer of approximately 702 acres of the encumbrance listed above. Thank you.
Perfect. Any does anyone from the public wish to give testimony? No. Board discussion. Hey, Jimmy.
Mr. Kevin,
Yes.
how are you, sir?
Good.
Thank
you.
Being that the land is going to be removed by the existing lease, right? And Brendan will have a smaller piece. Who will be responsible for the fence and the roads for the two parcels? Because the existing roads that Brendan has, it might be only suffice to a certain area. And so who would be responsible for the fencing and roads?
So I'd have to go back and look at the DLNR or the DLNR approved action. And I don't recall that it discussed those items. The subdivision approval will be at the DLNR's expense. If that impacts road access, then arguably maybe that's a DLNR expense as well. And fencing, I'm also not sure on. I'd have to check and get back to you.
Okay, here's the other question I have. Since Diamond B will have to destock the animals from the existing parcel that he has now, will he be compensated for those animals? He's got to pull it off the property because he can't have that carrying capacity anymore.
Again, if I look back at the DLNR approved action, I think it talks about there's a statute they have to follow if a withdrawal of acreage from a lease incurs those kinds of expenses to the lessee, they have to pay them. So arguably, I would say that could be a DLNR expense if there are actual costs, but it may be something that would have to be negotiated between the lessee and DLNR.
Yeah, I know that's how it used to be back in a time when I was on a DLNR board. My last question, Kevin, will his existing lease be honored for the term of his lease, the existing lease? You know what I mean? Because now you cut it off. Is his lease still going to term out at the same time expiration date?
Yeah, his lease will continue on the DLNR portion through its termination date.
All right, thank
Okay.
you.
I had some
Thank you.
Can
comments.
I get some questions and clarification with what I asked you, Kevin, if you don't mind, please? Just for,
Sure.
thank you.
You can put that. Okay, Jason, could you raise your hand and I'm recognizing Diane? No, on your computer. But Diane.
Jason's on
Go
the
ahead.
bottom bar probably. Thank you. Thank you, Jimmy. You raised a number of questions that, this submittal doesn't really address, I guess. Way I read it is the portion that DLNR would like to retain is for future addition to the forest reserve. So, to me, that's Kuleana with DLNR. But I guess, the question becomes the portion that comes over to DOA, you said it's going to continue with the existing lease. Do you know how long that is for? Because it's not in the submittal, or I didn't see it in the submittal. And has that process started for the conditions or does that come back to the board? Sorry.
Well, yeah, so what will have to happen is the parcel have to be subdivided and then it can be transferred to DLNR Department of Agriculture and Biosecurity subject to the lease. And once it comes over, the 702 acres comes over, we can bring a request back to this board for either an extension or a new disposition.
Oh, okay. Okay.
to the
Sorry, I've
lessee,
just
yeah.
forgotten the process. So, okay. So this is just a preliminary step to get us to a new lease with
Right.
Diamond Ranch. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you,
Glad to
Diane.
see a chunk of it coming over. It's good.
Yeah, Act 90 is working. Act 90 is working. So, Jason, Dr. Moniz, please go ahead.
Yeah, I guess no surprise that I'm a hard nose about this lease transfers. I know there was a working group had recommendations that indicated that if the lease was predominantly in use for agriculture, that it get transferred to the Department of Agriculture. So I'm wondering the section that's being taken by DLNR, if it's in production, predominantly in agriculture production or not.
I think that I would say it is based on the inspection that our staff did.
Yeah,
Kevin,
so
maybe you can ask, we have DLNR, we got Rob on it, and that's forestry, that's under Dave Smith, guys.
Right. I'm afraid I'm not familiar with the details of this specific transfer. I suspect just looking roughly at the map that the topography there is probably pretty steep going up into the forest reserve on the site, the part that's moving over to DLNR. So
Absolutely.
yeah. But I can't say definitively because I don't know the details of that specifically. I'm just reading the map there. It doesn't really look like it would be in agriculture production.
yeah, I'd like to find out what the answer to that is. Other questions I had some discussion with Brandon Baltazar, and he has some concerns about the boundaries regarding the road, and also some plans I think DLNR has to put a walking trail near a gulch, which we all know Brandon's original career was with the fire department, and he, in his tenure, ended up having to recover 2 bodies from that gulch. And I was just wondering if that's going to be an easement on the DOA part of the Department of Agriculture and Biosecurity's lease, or is that going to be on the DLNR lease, and whose liability is that going to be? If public's using that, and hopefully not, you end up with some future injuries or worse.
Yeah, I don't think the DLNR submittal talked about an easement like that, so I would have to talk to the staff over there to answer your question. I can get back to you.
Thank you. That's it.
Thank you, Jason. Nathaniel Oswald?
Yeah, thank you. If this transfer to the DAB happens, is there going to be an assessment on the property value that might affect or might change the amount of the lease amount?
Yeah, definitely. So there will be should be a pro rata reduction when it's transferred. So just based on straight acreage, 702 of the 1,563 acres, whatever percentage that turns out to be, will be the lease rent when it first comes over. And then, of course, when this board considers a new lease request, we will have an appraisal done to set the rent.
So we'll have a chance to talk about that. I've seen in the past where the transfer happened and the amount of the lease went much, much higher. I'm just hoping we have an opportunity to have that discussion.
Yes.
Kevin is saying it will happen. Thank you, Dave. Any further questions, Dave? No? Okay, further board discussion. Hearing, seeing none. Are there any objections or recusals? Hearing, seeing none. The motion is approved unanimously. Thank you. Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Thank you, Kev.
Moving on to old business. There was a piece of old business to approve minutes of October 25th, 2025 of the Board of Agriculture Biosecurity meeting. Should I do that now or take it on? No, you could do it. Okay, so may I have a motion to approve minutes?
Motion to approve with your noted correction from last time.
Thank you.
Second, Jimmy.
Thank you, Jimmy. Any discussion from the public? Hearing, seeing none. Any board discussion? The minutes of October 12th. Any objections or recusals? Hearing, seeing none. The motion is approved. Minutes are approved. Unanimous. Okay, moving on to the new business. Non-action item. Discussion and demonstration of the PEST dashboard enacted pursuant to Act 236, Session Laws of Hawaii 2025. Will there be a presentation?
Okay, yeah, Craig's gonna do it virtually.
Presentation by staff. One moment, board. We're going to give the presenter, Craig, a moment to enter the room.
Chair, Jimmy,
Yes.
is this new business non-action item? We still can't ask questions, right?
Oh, no, you can, because it's sufficiently detailed. For
Okay,
both.
great, thanks.
So you guys can ask questions.
Okay, so, board, we're gonna be moving on to item.
And discuss, you can discuss it too.
You could ask questions. We're gonna move on to item 6.2.
Oh, I'm here.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, just take a second. Good morning, everybody. Craig Lewitt here. I'm the new GIS program manager at the Department of Agriculture Biosecurity. And I would like to just give you a short overview of the new biosecurity website that we've put together and deployed and tell you about the plans for the future. Jason, I'm going to share my screen. Let's see. Oh, here it goes. Okay, share my screen. Does that look good?
Yes. Good, Craig.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So here's our new website, and I'd like to first start off by thanking the ETS, our Enterprise Technology Services at the state here, who helped put the skin together, as it were, and then we provided the content for this website. So the idea here is, again, to follow up on Act 236 requirements, to put a website together that has information about basically the invasive species that we're facing and what we're doing to address the problem. So it's a quick website, kind of a portal where we have a little bit of information about the program, and then each of the invasive species that we're looking at currently have a tab and have further information. So we have avian influenza, and we've been working with our animal industry folks on that one. So we have information about the problem. We have some of the things you can do to prevent it, or if you do come across, for example, dead birds. We even have a new video, which I won't show, but you can see more information about what you can do, say, if you come across a dead bird. And then we have information on the maps and dashboard section about where we have been testing and what kind of samples we've been getting for that avian influenza. And then going on, we have the same thing for coconut rhinoceros beetle. So we have information about the pest, some of the things we can do for response, best practices. And then towards the bottom, again, we have a section on maps and dashboards as requested by the legislature. And it shows where we've been doing some of the treatments. We have it going back from fiscal year 2025 and then this year. And then at the bottom, we do have some information about the Kona treatments in particular. And then we do have actually dashboards from the surveys that our field crews have been doing. And you can even see it goes by type of treatment, by type of tree, property type, application, how we're doing it. And again, we have it by fiscal year 2025 and 26. And then we can, again, do the same thing with coqui frog. We address the problem, talk about some of the solutions and control methods, and then we have interactive maps. We have maps of where we're doing the surveys and treatments, counts and amounts. And then we have these dashboards. And for example, on these dashboards, these ones are actually a little more interactive, which we'll be doing for all the rest of them. But in this case, we can see a map of Oahu. And if we click on a zip code information here about our captures. So you can see it highlights the zip code, it tells you, and then the top numbers are just for that zip code. So we can see how many hours or people were out there, how many frogs were captured, how many times we've been going out, and what kind of work we do, whether it's survey treatment, or such. And so it's interactive. So again, you can click on the zip code. We try to make it so that people can really hone in on their own properties or their own where they live. And we do it by zip code just so that we reduce any possible personally identifiable information, but we do it so people can see where they live. In this case, Palolo, where I live, you can actually see how many frogs were captured in this year alone. And we do the same for the little fire ants. And so this data, again, is being collected by our staff here at DAB. However, I've been in discussions with all the other partners, the ISCs and HISCs, and we are talking about how we can grab their data and incorporate it into these dashboards so that we'll get a full picture across the board of what kind of treatments are being done and where. And obviously, this is Oahu-centric at the moment, but the plan is for sure to go statewide with this as soon as we can get the agreements and processes in place with our partners, since they do most of the outer island work. And again, these ones are interactive dashboards, so you can click on it and you can see where the high points, in this case, Waimanalo is the high point for the little fire ant infestation. You can see both treatment and surveys about what's being done. And the idea, again, on this is that we will have quarterly updates just to keep the data very fresh. Some of it will be actually live as we continue our efforts. And then again, the big push now is to work with our partners so that we can get the data from, again, all the ISCs and then coqui response at C.F.R. and the Little Fire Ant Lab included, so that we can really have a very robust statewide look at what's going on and who's doing the work and where, so that we can present that to the public so that there's transparency. Questions?
Does anyone from the public wish to give testimony or ask questions?
No, that's testimony.
Oh, testimony?
The public is testimony.
Is, okay, this is Jason?
Okay.
No answer, okay, board discussion. We have Dr. Graywall.
Yeah, this is very good news that we have a dashboard. This is awesome. I just want to know that the data that you have for Oahu, does it include data from C.F.R. and data from our OISC, or is it only all DOA data at this point?
At this point, it's only from Department of Agriculture Biosecurity. Again, though, we have been having meetings to discuss how we can physically, using technology, of course, transfer the data and then just get the data sharing agreements. But we're really hopeful that everybody can participate. We believe that we have the legal part done, and it was been reviewed by the Attorney General. So data sharing should be no problem. And again, our intention is to keep it at a zip code level so that we don't have to worry about the parcels or people's personally identifiable property. But yeah, so that's our hope, is to get it as soon as we can get people to start submitting data, we will start revamping these to be statewide and also inclusive. And we'll put obviously who we're getting the data from, and it'll be all that kind of information is definitely going to be presented so that all the partners get credit. But again, we really want the public to see the statewide. We really are very focused on getting the full picture, because again, just showing little pieces doesn't really solve the problem, we don't think.
Yeah, wonderful. Kudos.
Thank you, Diane Lay.
Thank you, Chair. Well, thank you. This is great to have, accessible to the public, information that the department has, as well as the partners coming on online. Will there be within the website, will there be opportunities for the public to easily reach back into you folks, either with reporting or questions that will help facilitate, transfer of information?
Yeah, that's definitely a work in progress. Again, we had to meet the December 1st deadline just to get it up. So we're going in a process of agile development where we do it step by step. So this, first step was that. The second step is definitely going to be getting partner data and going statewide. And then, yes, we will have ability to ask questions and even maybe have some chatbot type stuff we've been talking about. So the public could actually put in maybe a recording and say, is this a coqui frog or not? Because, there's a lot of confusion about the greenhouse frogs versus coqui frogs. So we would like to include some, AI even, so that the public can be participants. As far as exporting data out, we're going to have to look into that. Again, we don't really want to go down to the property level unless there's a scientific reason or a reason to do that. But certainly we can have the ability to download like summary files by state, by TMK, zip code, sorry, or by island or something like that where it's appropriate. Yes.
Okay, thank you. That's going to be helpful, I think, not only to existing partners, but other county
yes,
entities and things like that for when they're targeting resources. So thank you. Appreciate it. Keep it up.
Thank you, Diane. Go ahead, Dr. Moniz.
Comment. On the site, I'm not great at moving around websites and stuff, but I would think it would be really important to be able to report an incident easily, and if there can be a section right on the first page right there that just is big and red or something that says report an incident here. I got a call from the possum that they found in the Costco, Kona Costco one night, and the assistant manager, I just knew him personally, and he didn't know who to call, but they eventually got a hold of PQ and got it resolved, but he had to kind of search around to figure out what am I going to do with this possum that just dropped in front of one of my employees from
okay, duly noted. Yeah, we are definitely working on that. And I am reaching out to the reported pest. Right now we have a telephone line, and we would like to actually expand that to using, like I say, chatbots and AI to report it out for the public, to make it easy as possible for the public to report. But yeah, we'll definitely take your note to heart and put it on the front page. We do believe that's super important. We need the community to help out. This is definitely an all hands on deck effort.
Thank you, Jason. Good point. Rob Huff?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, welcome, Craig. DLNR is really excited to have a data person over at DAB that we can interface. I think this is like a really significant step for improving biosecurity in Hawaii and working across agencies. So this is great. Just quick question. Are you focused on biosecurity and plant industry division, or do you work across the various DAB divisions?
Oh, definitely across the DAB, even though I obviously have to be seated somewhere. I'm under plant industry just administratively, but I've already been talking to all the other branches, pesticides and plant pathology and anybody. I want to be working with the ARM and all the other land part of the department here because, again, we all do the same work together and we need to be working together. So I think my role will definitely be touching upon all the different departments eventually as we continue on with this effort.
Great, thanks.
Thank you. Good time to comment that. Thank you to the governor and to the legislature for passing 236, which really put a high-powered effort underneath the deadline to get this dashboard up by December 1. I can't thank Craig enough, who took this very seriously and got the website up before December 1 and had a chance now to fine-tune. And to Rob's point, the intent is to eventually put more and more publicly funded data on the website, including ARM and AI and Quad and Quad is quality assurance. How many inspections did we do? How many labels did we check? Things like that. So the effort was started by Act 236, but it doesn't end with 236. Just a big shout out to Craig, who probably didn't sleep for days, getting emails from everyone, including me, like, where are we on this? So please check it out, board. It is a very information-rich, data-rich website, data-driven. So thank you. Any of board discussion? Okay, no other questions. We'll just move on then to non-action item, number 2, presentation and discussion on Hawaii biosecurity efforts resulting from the passage of Act 231, which was Session Laws 2024, and Act 236, Session Laws 2025. Presentation by Steph.
Yeah, so good morning, Chair, members of the board, Jonathan Ho, Plant Quarantine Branch Manager. So just real quick, this is just kind of an overview of the culmination of Act 230, the passing of Act 231 to Act 236, and kind of I think what the legislature is kind of expecting of, I think, all of the partners who have biosecurity roles in the state. The presentation that you guys have and will be presented is what was shown to the Joint Committee on November 24th. So I think for Rob and for Dr. Graywald, this may be a duplicative for you folks. There's a couple slides that are missing related to the dashboard, since Craig already talked about it, but everything else basically is the same. You want me to connect to want me to just go to my computer? Yeah. No, it's okay. Do it from my computer. I'll be right back. Virtually.
Oh, well, there it is.
Well, yeah, I can share this, but I'm not gonna, I can share it like this.
But he wants, I guess there's a whole, like, it's like a PowerPoint.
Well, yeah, but I don't, I can share it like this. I just can't do the,
I mean, there's no,
okay.
Okay, we can do it either way. I'm cool with it. Okay. So real quick, so just a quick overview of the framework. So the first slide's about, again, I think why biosecurity is important. I think as the board is well aware, you know, we're currently dealing with a number of pests, obviously Rapanoia death, little fire ant, koki, CRB. And really the goal is to centralize and really get biosecurity up to a place where it needs to be to deal with those next pests that we don't have in the state, such as the brown tree snake or the red imported fire ant, which I think we don't need to talk about too much about, you know, the economic, environmental, and welfare impacts should those pests become established into the state. Next slide, please. Yeah, so this is kind of the goal of biosecurity, and you know, and I think so. Biosecurity is a set of measures taken to manage risks, you know, for pests against the economy, environment, health, and lifestyle of the people. There was, you know, some discussion about, you know, like how this and the interagency biosecurity plan were to interface, and I think I wasn't quite prepared for the question when I got it, but ultimately, I think the idea of this is to take to kind of make like this is like the next iteration as it relates to, I think, not just specific tasks that all of us need to do, but further coordinating and agreeing to build upon all of those tasks to be more comprehensive within the state. Next slide, please. So just kind of a quick visualization of like what biosecurity means to Hawaii. You know, this is kind of this is from the CRB response team, kind of like an AI thing about like CRB. I think, and then I think this particularly for those on Oahu and I think on Kauai, starting to you're starting to see some of the effects depending on the area that you live in, and you know, those specific impacts of, you know, of a single pest. And I think you know, CRB obviously is, I think, very, I think, visually impactful. But again, you have a lot, like, for example, like LFA, where you don't necessarily see them, but they have dramatic impacts to people, to agriculture, you know, to public health and safety, and to, you know, pets and things like that. But just really, I think that real visual impact, I think, of what it means to make sure that we build up biosecurity for the state. Next slide. So yeah, the legislative authority, really quickly. The icon there you see is like kind of all the partners, and I think the goal is to kind of interface between all of us. And I think, you know, modifying it, you know, I think to put arrows around so that everybody is, you know, doing or communicating all the tasks and responsibilities of the work that they're doing. And a lot of the things that were pushed in some of these acts were things like transitional facilities, requirements for pre and post entry treatments, more enforcement, pest management plans, and additional staffing for support for the department. I think it was 44 positions. And, you know, the department has been, you know, going through the recruitment process through like OHI for PQ, PPC, and the pesticides branch. Yeah, so a lot of words, but this is the agencies with statutory functions for biosecurity. We kind of chose to kind of like go down this route with the statutory functions, just to the extent of biosecurity is a massive thing as it relates to impacts of the state, and to try to make it, I think, more manageable as a way to present it to folks. By highlighting each of the agencies that have a lot of the work that's being done, and to also show the complexity as it relates to biosecurity. And, you know, and again, we're, you know, don't want to take away anything from, you know, USDA, CBP, Fish and Wildlife, you know, a number of other federal agencies, and also a lot of the partners, such as the invasive species committees, Hawaiian Lab, CRB Response. All of those folks do have biosecurity functions, but again, this is the statutory functions that each of those agencies, the state agencies have. Next slide, please. A lot of what we're doing is based off of the New Zealand model. I think it's well recognized in New Zealand and Australia are global leaders, and we've sent 2 delegations to New Zealand to kind of learn what they're doing. All of the partners that you saw in the diagram have participated in one or both of those trips, and And basically, yeah, you kind of see that first picture is a presentation by Mike Inglis. He's the Ministry of Primary Industries Regional Commissioner for the Northern Island, presenting about the overall New Zealand strategy. I think this is the second group. The middle picture is a picture of their post-entry quarantine facility for plant importation. It's a BSL-3 facility, climate controlled, state of the art. Very expensive. Importers pay 6,500 to 12,500 New Zealand per month to use these facilities. So the investment by industry and New Zealand is very high for importation. And then the last one is OMA Group's New Zealand Biosecurity Services. So they are a private company that's authorized by MPI, the Ministry of Primary Industries, to do specific types of certification, training, encouragement responses in New Zealand, and surveillance work, excuse me. So next slide, please. Yeah, so this is the New Zealand biosecurity system. I think folks may be familiar with this. And the goal is, again, to manage risk prior to entry, and the idea of, again, visualizing like nets and catching things as they go through the system. And, you know, it really emphasizes the idea that biosecurity is not a wall, it's a net. You're using layers of tasks to prevent or catch things before they get introduced into the state. So yeah, so here's some examples like pre-border, border, and post-border work that's being done currently in the state. So I think on the left you'll see Christmas trees. So we have a compliance agreement with Oregon and Washington State Department of Agriculture's for Christmas trees. The season just finished a couple weeks ago for the last shipments. Program was implemented in 2012. In 2012, I think 71 out of the 240 containers that were imported that year required treatment or reconditioning. So that was a 61% compliance. The last calendar year, so 22, 23, 24, I think there were 3 containers total that were held up in those 3 years. I think this year we held up 4. So, you know, you're talking 99 point something % average. So, you know, again, managing risk before it gets to the shores. So border inspection, obviously, you have, you know, inspectors doing inspections at FedEx. You know, I think this is one of the biggest challenges. You know, this is, you know, you're getting 15,000 parcels for one inspector, 3 hours, you know, trying to manage those challenges for the you know, the inspection processes. And then obviously post-border work. So you have, you know, all the partners, you know, you're doing treatments, you're doing surveying, you're doing detection work being done. So kind of a, you know, kind of a quick visualization of like I think what biosecurity is intended to be. There are 2 sets of canoes, and I think the bigger one is, I think, the agencies that are doing, I think, most of the boots on the ground work, and the bottom is all of the other folks that are doing biosecurity work. The diagram is a bit contentious depending on perspective, and again, I think the intent is, like, you know, kind of we're all going together to achieve the same goal, and it wasn't intended to say that anybody is better or worse or whatever, but it was just kind of that quick visualization of like how it takes all of us to protect Hawaii and to participate in biosecurity. Yeah, so just kind of quick overview of the, like, I think not necessarily the statutory mandates, but some of the specific tasks that are kind of laid out for each of the agencies that were mentioned earlier. Next, please. And then, so we created a diagram, obviously based very similar, very much off of the New Zealand model, to kind of visualize, I think, how biosecurity works in the state, pre-border, border, post-border, and trying to integrate the costs and risks as well, with that first line, but the cost being the lowest before things enter the state and being extremely expensive at the end once they're in the state, because you're going to be managing them potentially into perpetuity, versus the risk being very high because there are things that do not exist in the state, which we do not want, versus those things that do get passed, which is, much smaller. And that's fine. You can go, but leave it there. But and I think like a good example of that is like brown tree snake interdiction. It costs right now about $350,000 per year, at least, and we get a federal grant for that. But there's estimations depending on the cost about widespread establishment being like $2 billion. So that ounce of prevention, pound of cure kind of mentality makes a lot of sense. And can you do this more for additional pests and situations? So what we'll be doing is kind of doing a quick overview of each of the sections, and with kind of highlighting some of the main players for each of those sections on the bottom. When we get to each slide, you will see that each of the items are color-coded, with red being kind of minimal implementation, yellow there's some implementation but needs more improvement, and then green kind of we're there, but obviously not perfect, but more can be done. Next slide, please. So yeah, so you can see, import standards, risk analysis, pathway, compliance, offshore treatment, and public industry awareness. So, for example, with risk assessment, risk analysis, again, getting increased capacity, for example, like Craig, having specialized staff within the department, or funding for contracting to do that analysis of the work that's being done. Working with partners for offshore facility treatment. We do that to some extent with Christmas trees at their facilities, but again, expanding it to other commodities, and again, increased public awareness. Working directly with DOT, DLNR, to get very specific stakeholders on board prior to arrival into the state. And you're starting to see some of that, for example, with like Akamai arrival. Next slide. So yeah, so some quick things. Again, treatments of goods prior to entry. There's a systems approach to nursery certification to kind of help facilitate clean nursery stock trade. And then again, Akamai arrivals. We have, I think all the domestic flights are now on board. And then we're working with DOT and DBED to utilize Akamai arrivals to help facilitate the traveler experience in the state, and then Christmas trees, which we've talked about earlier. So yeah, so here's border, and I think this is more traditionally what I think people recognize, and particularly for PQ, a lot of the work that's being done. And you'll see that the diagram is, I think, a little bit more fleshed out. Again, same thing, getting those for pathways, getting those staff capacity so that you can manage, this, and you'll see this pathway thing for the post border as well, because there is a post border spread issue, increasing of surveillance at the ports or other high risk pathways. Obviously working with partners such as the invasive species committees and the Mamalu Poi Poi program the Port of Entry Monitoring Program through HISC, and then the use of transitional facilities to centralize inspections and to minimize risk potentially for goods that aren't currently subject to inspection. We do this a little bit for low risk regulated goods such as fresh fruit and veg, but again, expanding the program into other commodities that aren't necessarily inspected. Yeah, so some of that work, again, you see folks doing inspections, you see treatments, use of detector dogs, and then obviously diagnostics. So the staff are looking for nematodes in root samples. So yeah, so post border, it's the biggest portion of this system because obviously it requires the most work should a pest get here. And it is that kind of first line to give you the first line of detection to give you the best opportunity to conduct eradication should something get past the pre-border and border work. It'll be broken down into 4 separate slides. So the first one is again surveillance, and I think as I was brought up earlier, again using of a hotline to help facilitate reporting. Our data collection system, Kupono, does have the capability of doing it, and obviously working with 643pest.org and integrating all of that into the biosecurity.hawaii.gov website, for obviously to facilitate reporting to the public. And then again, more detection work for not only those pests that are problematic, those also high-risk pests, such as like brown tree snake, which we have a program, red-pointed fire ant, Japanese beetle, and then any others that may not necessarily be a problem yet or aren't spreading. Queens and longhorn beetle, for example. Yeah, so this readiness and response is 2 separate slides because there's a lot of work tied to them, but they are also very much, they work very much hand in hand in that the readiness prepares for the response. And the goal with these 2 functions is to be more proactive and less reactive. I think historically the department and a lot of the partners have been we have been reactive just because we don't have the necessary resources and the staffing to be able to really be continually ready for action. And I think one of the big goals in this is to build that capacity up and those plans up for all of us to work together. And you'll see the slide kind of shows that a lot of reds and yellows. And again, same thing, pathways. There are the GIAs, so government, industry, or sector agreements. I think the acronym is unfortunate. It's taken from New Zealand, and it does kind of conflict with grant in aid, which is used very much here. So we're trying to figure out a way to kind of adjust that terminology. Maybe, I don't know what it would be, but another way to deal with that. Again, response, capacity, simulations. So once you have the plans, practicing them so that should a problem occur, you're able to respond. Building out very robust plans for stakeholders to be able to play their part in managing risk for on-farm or non-farm biosecurity. So basically like agricultural areas. And then again, workforce development. The department and the legislature have been working with LCC and C.F.R. to develop curriculum to build up qualified people to fill a lot of these necessary biosecurity positions, not necessarily just for the department, but for all the other agencies who are doing work in biosecurity. And then, so response, a little better. And again, building a capacity, building those responses so that, we're all kind of using the same, what ICS or whatever system it is. And then having or building up the necessary capacity for manpower and equipment to do containment and eradication should there be issues. There have been some movement toward this with the inaction of the biosecurity emergency powers in Act 236 through the governor. And then obviously we're working to define more specifically how those powers would be worked. There has been a lot of, angst in some public sectors that, the governor is going to declare a biosecurity emergency and start confiscating everybody's property and stuff like that. And I think, we need to do a little bit better outreach to make sure that this is very much geared off of existing emergency response statutes, and obviously nobody's taken anybody's land. Yeah, and the last one's recovery management. So this is, I think, one of the, more novel portions that, but some of the portions are a little bit more novel, and some of them I think are well established, just need to be kind of rebuilt and developed more. And this is for those pests that, you know, are here to stay, I think. Yeah, so again, management strategies, right? Again, you know, that's the need to like bolster C.F.R, extension, PPC, and pesticides, you know, to get into ongoing research, you know, to get new tools, new treatments, new detection tools. All of those things need to be developed. A lot of the things that we're using are, I won't say archaic, but they're old. And I think they need to be revitalized. And I think they're not necessarily, I mean, they work, but they're not necessarily designed, I think, for the nature of the issues that we're dealing with today. Biocontrol is, I think, one of those I think that everyone understands to be important, and getting that capacity built back up into the state, whether it be through the federal partners, through the university, or through the department. All of that work needs to be done, and I don't think that there's enough that can be built among the partners to deal with all the pests and to be prepared for those other pests that may come. So we'll be ready for we'll have existing control agents that could be used should there be a pest that we find out after the fact that it's widespread. The three red ones, recovery planning, compensation, and welfare, are kind of, I think, based very much off the New Zealand model, where they have a very strong compensation plan or planning or system for a lot of the incursions, where there is some structure built in, particularly in the animal side. But I think working with the legislature to really develop this, I think, will really help get everybody on board and to do what needs to be done should there be a biosecurity emergency, like widespread H5N1 or something like that. And then again, massive amounts of need for public education, again, not necessarily from the department again, but for partners, whether it be 4-H, Kupu, DOT, yes. And then, yeah, just a few, photos of work being done. And, when you see folks, building fences for predator protection, along the shoreline, using helicopters, repelling, a lot of labor, a lot of intense effort. A lot of it is, something has a lot of risk, and obviously making sure that we don't get to this point is the goal. With the GIA or BIA or whatever we call them, the department has met with HEFNA, Hawaii Floriculture and Nursery Association board late November, to kind of give them an overview about it, and we're drafting kind of a draft agreement to start working with kind of them as the first group, and then expand it to other industries. For example, ranchers, things like that. A lot of folks that have boots on the ground, they're in the areas that are being affected, and can assist with biosecurity. And yeah, that's it. And questions? Oh, sorry, testimony.
Thank you, Jonathan. That was really a 600 level course in what we're doing for biosecurity in Hawaii, and moving on, hopefully, to biocontrol, which we know is into the nanotechnology realm here. But before I go on to testimony from the public, I wanted to point out the great job that this presentation did in pointing out where the red is and how important it is to move the red to the yellow, and then move the yellow to the green. And once we have all greens, I'm sure there'll be other reds that come up, but let's, the way that this was set up, it's really easy to understand where the funding needs to be, where the attention needs to be, where the buildup needs to be. And all that to say that we could sure use some help before the public testifies in recruitment, We have the capacity, we need to build capacity. You can see our public, we have ads going out, come work for the department. It's real. These are the efforts we have to do. This is how we're gonna solve the problem. We need bodies. So Jonathan is, he's been trying really, really hard to recruit. We know you're out there. Please come work for the department. And with that public service announcement, I did want to ask for the public test. Anyone from the public wish to give testimony?
No.
No hands? Okay, board discussion. We have Jimmy.
Yes, great job on this biosecurity, and I know there's a lot of hard work and there's a lot of stumbling blocks in front of us and so forth. But moving forward and so forth, Jonathan, Chair, are we having an issue with staffing as well as funds? Will funds be allocated properly so we can continue this process?
Let me get that. Jimmy, because we were fortunate, as I said, I give credit to the governor and to the legislature for putting Act 250 in the budget. The funding is recurring. So there is a recurring nature to Act 250 through, I believe, fiscal year 27. So we were fortunate that there is funding through that year. But as far as staffing, that was not covered in the budget. That was covered in a bill. And the bill then is good for 1 year. So some of the funding we were really, especially to attract the level of expertise that the department needs, that funding needs to be for level promotions, to attract the level of expertise that we need. Entomologists, for instance, veterinarians, for instance. They need to be escalated, and I hope that was kind of like where we need I think your question was well placed in that, what kind of support can the board give to this effort? And the answer would be continue to support the positions as well as the levels of compensation that are required to maintain and keep. And Jonathan?
Yeah, so I think at least as it relates to plant quarantine, so some of the things that we did to increase the ability to recruit was we redid the minimum qualifications to facilitate the processing of particularly line inspectors for the biosecurity series. So we added like 15 other degrees that would make folks qualify for the series again, to make sure that we're not really limited. The way the original MQs were, it was a little bit more difficult. So actually, it was very difficult. So we changed the series. We're looking into, as Chair Hurd said, ways to kind of create compensation schedules that match the federal partners. Generally speaking, they get paid quite a bit more. I think the administration makes it a little bit, difficult right now, but they do get quite a bit more. And historically, at least from plant quarantine, I've lost maybe 15% of my new recruits to the feds, primarily to USDA and Customs and Border Protection. So again, creating compensations for that, and there's talk about something called like repricing, where you can, where for kind of hard to fill jobs or hard to keep jobs, you can keep the structure but pay them like a differential. So those are some things that we're trying to do, and then as it relates to like Chair Hurd said about recruitment, there should be some positions for inspector in Hilo. I think there's 4 that should be coming out soon, in early January. I think 1 in Maui. We just closed, I think 3 for Oahu. So we're getting all those folks processed so that we can do the interviews. And then all of the high-level positions in plant quarantine, the port supervisors, the specialists, are getting done. We finalized the Oahu supervisor positions, so they'll be starting shortly. Staff are conducting the the Hawaii District Supervisor interview today. And then right up in early January, the plant specialist, land vertebrate specialist, and the insect specialist positions will be opening, following by the master journeyman position. So it's the line inspector. So all of that stuff is kind of going on. Obviously we want to make sure that we show the legislature that the resources that they provided to us are going to be put to good use and translated into a real difference.
Well, the problem I see is that if it's not attractive enough, that's why you're losing people. You said 16%, they're going to USDA and so forth, because it's not attractive enough. It's not your fault, or it's just they're not compensated enough. So part of the non-action item that you had was, how long before the final framework that will be completed? Because you're still tweaking, you're still going on. How long will that take for the final framework to be completed for the biosecurity, you think?
Yeah, so I think the legislature has kind of tasked the department through 141.3, I forgot the statute. Anyhow, to kind of be the lead. And so we've been coordinating with all the partners, and the legislature has been kind of helping to kind of facilitate all that. And I think each of the agencies has been kind of tasked with, I think, kind of laying out specific functions that they're going to be doing and potentially asking for, so that they can help to prioritize that particular work. Department is also working on that in addition to the overall framework. And I think once all of that is put out and agreements are, I think formal agreements are made, revisions to this, and I think revisions to this will be made and presented. And like some of the, I think like outstanding things, such as like the like pest management plans. Once a lot of those are finalized, we'll be posting them like on the Department of Biosecurity website. So like again, right, everybody can kind of see them. And same thing with the agreements and all the other things that were allocated to us. As we get to them, the goal is to kind of centralize everything onto the website so that people can see the work that's being done and know that that something's being done.
Thank you, Jonathan. Hopefully it's a work in progress. So thank you so much. Keep up the good work, gang.
Yeah, he's doing excellent work. I don't know if he sleeps. But one comment, Jimmy, that I wanted to follow up with was during the Ojai Rapid Recruitment event, an actual quote was, "Uncle, benefits don't pay my rent." So, we have to increase the pay. I mean, we have great benefits, great people to work with, great mission, but people got to pay their rent. And if they can do so in another position,
absolutely. Yes.
Yeah, so that really resonated with everybody. You got to pay them more.
Yeah.
So yeah. So recognizing Dr. Jason Moniz had his hand up next.
You can talk the talk, but you need to walk the walk.
Hallelujah.
Just some comments and maybe a couple questions. Jonathan, tough job. Looks like your Christmas tree program working out pretty well. On the animal industry side, we have a huge advantage. We got 120 something thousand veterinarians scattered throughout the United States, and requirements that what you call in pre-border inspections get done before they get here. I don't know if that exists on the plant industry side, but to me, it's not perfect. We still intercept stuff when they get here, but I think that like your Christmas tree program, it's really reduced, Jim, if they had eyes on, hands on before they got here. But so that's just comment. Question, I think you had two skunks in Hilo recently. I was wondering if you guys can pin that to any vessel or getting close to pinning it to a vessel so you can focus on that vessel to kind of get after them.
Yeah, so we've had a lot of skunks and opossums this year. I think we've had more this year than we've had in the last like four, something like that. It's been kind of crazy. And we actually just had one that made it here, and we think it made its way back. We haven't found it, but anyhow, we're very confident that the animals are coming in on the barges with the vehicles. So I think it's San Diego. They're doing a lot of work, and we've been talking to folks, and they see them running around in the area. So my guess is, the vehicles are parking lots. As they move, they just run inside, and then they're just getting driven onto the boats. So, we've been notifying DOT harbors each time, and I think looking to, I guess, try to figure out a way to kind of manage this particular pathway is a little difficult in that, we don't necessarily have control over, a commercial harbor in another state. But trying to figure out, I think, maybe a trapping plan or some type of work that can be done here. And then in addition to, again, outreach. So for example, in the most recent one, the folks at while they were doing the offload, they actually saw the animal at like 1 o'clock in the morning. They didn't know, and kind of like you had with the Costco, they didn't know what to do. So we didn't get the report till the next day. We're pretty confident the animal was still on the boat. We could smell it and stuff like that. But there's no guarantees. We still have some traps out. We haven't caught anything at this point. We sent staff to Kauai, watched them offload the vehicles. We deployed traps. They did the same on Maui before the boat went back to the mainland. We did get some information that the outbound cargo, which we weren't checking, apparently they smelt it down there after the fact. So maybe that's why we're pretty certain that it was still on the boat, and that portion is kind of sealed off. So, but again, we have no definitive proof that that's the case. But as of right now, we haven't seen it yet. So, and our prior trapping efforts have been pretty effective. When we get a report, we're catching it generally in like within 3 to 5 days. But yeah, it is a big problem, and obviously a big risk, because obviously, rabies amongst any other external parasites that could come on with these wild animals.
Yeah, I was just thinking that if you can pin it on the vessel, and maybe even train dogs to go find, then require the vessel to be inspected because there've been problems in the past, and then start, citing the company, so that they do something about it on their end in California. Right now, there probably is very little pressure on them in California. They just figure they're just gonna call you guys if there's a problem around Hilo, or whatever port it is.
Yeah.
So, I guess question for Sharon, maybe federal dollars to do arrival, get some pre-arrival inspection help in some of these mainland states where, it's determined, like for example, I give you an example, and this can probably come across kind of bad, but when I was working, if it came to livestock, and we're getting livestock out of Missouri and Arkansas, my staff knew, go over those buggers with a fine-tooth comb because for whatever reason it increased traffic of livestock going through those areas or just I don't think it was the case where we had veterinarians just not doing the job right, but the risk was higher. And you can maybe put some added resources to those areas to try to get a better job done before they ever arrive in Hawaii, So you can probably pinpoint where I I didn't pay close enough attention to PQ issues, but coconut rhinoceros beetle, a little fire ant, you probably know where they came from. And then you can focus, put more focus if we can get some federal dollars, focus on those areas to prevent future incursions. Yeah.
Jason, you make a very good point, and we work with our CODEL very well. I should say the CODEL reaches out to us very consistently, asking us where we need assistance, and we are not shy letting them know where we need the federal dollar assistance, and it's usually for the border side. But you make a good point that we can focus on the pre-border side as well. And what we're looking at right now is we know that H5N1 is on the mainland. We know that the New World screwworm is on the mainland. So we try to play the national, the public health and safety card. We try to play the national security card when we make our pitch. And we do go to this administration goes to Washington a lot. And the CODEL helps us arrange meetings with the various agencies. So we're working that pretty actively. I think Dr. Maeda, our state veterinarian, he is consistently on national phone calls that sometimes happen at 3, 4, 5 in the morning, where they talk about what's going on with New World screwworm, which is a flesh-eating larva, and it does go into humans. So we don't want that here at all. It is 7 miles off the Mexico coast right now. That was as of a couple days ago. So we're looking at the federal dollars pretty aggressively. One thing that I wanted to add about the federal dollars is the missions that we took to New Zealand, the 2 missions. I was on the second one, and they have something called transitional facilities in New Zealand that we're trying to implement here. Transitional facilities is where, as Jonathan said, they're pretty confident the possums and the skunks are coming in on cars because of the way the base yards are, the storage area, the staging areas are at ports. The transitional facility would say, hey, we would like to set up, once the ships leave, on board, the car maker or the vessel would take the time to do the inspection there. They're kind of like a transition to the border, to the arrival. And we would do an agreement with that. Maybe we can get some federal dollars to do that, work with industry. A little bit more on the GIAs, the government industry agreements. We're trying to get away from the terminology, but Jonathan mentioned meeting with HEFNA, the Hawaii Floriculture Nursery Association, because the floriculture industry has been, I don't want to say blame, but certainly they've been the subject of question as to how many invasives come in through that pathway. Their board agreed to serve as our boots on the ground. We have about maybe 30 staff we can deploy at a moment's notice. The HISCs and our partners, our ISCs, they can maybe deploy 30 plus people on the ground. That's 60 boots on the ground to react to a major detection of a new pest or a current pest. If we engage industry, that's hundreds of boots on the ground. And that way, what we're doing now is putting together an agreement that says, we'll train you, we'll provide you chemicals, we'll provide you PPE, we'll provide you certain things that you need to join us in the fight. So to Jonathan's point, we're starting with HEFNA, but we're working with, we've already talked to HCC, the Hawaii Cattlemen's, and we've already talked to Hawaii Tropical Fruit Growers. And initially, they've said, oh, it's a good idea, but we've only really done the granular kind of stuff with the floriculture guys. So in that sense, when that gets going, we could seek dollars, whether it's federal, state, or county, to help us with that effort. So it is all hands on deck. Jonathan's report and the way the staff, the plant industry staff have come together. It's so easy to understand. It's almost like an infographic. And we're hoping to deploy this and present this pretty much everywhere we go. You know, we can go, bam, you know, look at this card. It's a good plan. I think we're on our way. Thank you to Jonathan. I mean, the effort that was put into this slide by everyone to this presentation is just incredible. Really, really smart people got together and did it. So thank you, Jason, for noticing. And everybody, you know, Jimmy, it's a tool. It's a resource for us. And hopefully we can use it over and over and over and over again. So recognizing, was it Rob? Did you have your hand up?
Yeah, I do. Thanks, Sharon. Jonathan, I know thanks so much for all the work you put into this. I know it's been a lot. I've been, working with you, providing comments. And so I'll try to keep it short because I know we've had many discussions about this, but there were just two things I wanted to bring up, concerns that we've expressed in our comments in the past while developing this framework. One has to do with the post-border response under the and intra-island movement. And I noticed that it's green. And I noticed that the first thing there is require inspection and certification in nurseries. And my understanding is that you really only regulate nurseries that are exporting to the mainland as USDA requires. And I know that past plant industry administrators have discussed developing a regulatory framework for all nurseries to address that inter-island. Is that something that Department of Ag is still thinking about? And should that be maybe a different color than green?
Make sure I read the right one.
You have the slide down. Second to the last.
Okay. Oh, I see. Okay. So, oh, I see. Okay. Yeah. So it's written in, so the rules require, propagated plant material to be inspected, and then certified for movement, for inter-island movement. And I think that was the intent. And I think that compliance program is being used in specific circumstances, primarily as it relates to rapid ohia death. Actually, yeah, you bring up a good point, I guess, in that I guess a comprehensive, I guess, whether it be a certification, the licensing, or some type of, I guess, regulatory structure as it relates to the nursery industry, I think is going to be something that is going to have to happen. And I'm hoping that utilizing the GIA program is going to be kind of the way to get into that, because that GIA program is an agreement for them to do specific things, or agree to do specific things as a whole, for kind of a seat at the table and to increase capacity. And I'm hoping that we can kind of kill two birds with one stone as while we get to the, I guess, more, I guess, official structure or whatever we want to call it.
Right. I think the GIAs are great, Jonathan. I just think that that's kind of a voluntary thing, and not all businesses belong to those associations, and so they're not comprehensive as far as, like, if you needed to go out and look at all nurseries for some new pest that just came in to make sure that it's not moving in the industry. I don't even think you guys have a list of operating nurseries that you could respond to. And so that's my concern, is that the GIAs are great, but I don't know if they are really going to cover the breadth of the businesses that operate in the state, because membership in those associations, I'm guessing, is a little bit spotty.
I'm in agreement with that. Yeah, and I think particularly, I think another wrinkle on top of that is those producers that don't move things in our island. Because that's a whole nother world of folks that yeah, we don't generally deal with unless they're importing their goods beforehand. Because yeah, if they don't
Right.
move things in our island, yeah, that's
Intra-island's a concern as well. So, if they're just selling it to people within their own island, that could be a concern as well. But I just wanted to bring up that and one other thing, if I may, very quickly, Jonathan, because I feel like this is really an important one too, is the recovery and pest management under biological control and under DAB's role, regulatory role. I'm just wondering whether DAB might be open to the idea of opening up that regulatory process of permitting the biocontrol agents for release, because I feel like the process takes so long, or is currently taking so long. I know it can be done quickly, but it takes so long, and we have things in the pipeline that need to be released. They're doing research on the nudibvirus for coconut rhinoceros beetle, and if they find that that's safe for the environment, we really can't afford to wait years to issue the permits for it. And so I just wanted to bring up that that's something that I think needs attention. You have it as yellow, so that's good. But DLNR is definitely interested in working with you on that. We're concerned about the length of time it takes to get things out once all of the research, which sometimes takes years to determine that it's safe for the environment, takes. And I think that the process that you run it through currently is really to prevent the escape of some of these and protect the environment and agriculture, whereas this type of project is really to get it out there and get established. So I just wanted to bring that one up, and thanks for all your work on this, Jonathan.
Yeah, no, Rob. I am in complete agreement with you about the process as it relates to biocontrol. And I've been thinking about a way to spell it out in the rules specifically for biocontrol agents so right now, like, permitting is one system. So can you make a system specifically for biocontrol agents that meet a specific set of requirements to facilitate exactly what we're talking about? Because I'm in agreement with it, because it is, I mean, you have to hit the steps because those are required, but are there ways that we can, I guess, shorten it so that we can do it in a timely fashion so that the research isn't bottlenecked through the regulatory component? I'm in complete agreement with you. And I've thrown around some things in my head, and I think hopefully when we have some time, we can sit down with you folks and the university or whoever else is going to be doing biocontrol, and then we can kind of figure out, I think, a good framework that works for everybody, and then work through a rule amendment to basically codify that so the board approves it, everyone understands what's being done, and then we can help utilize our limited biocontrol resources to do the work that it needs to do. Yeah.
Yeah, Rob, I think you were in the room on November 24th when the committees had the biocontrol informational briefing. And that was one of the questions that Senator Richards brought up that was just so difficult to answer, because what his question was pretty much like yours. Hey, we got, what if there's an answer? Why is it taking us so long? Why does everything take so long? And it's a real tough answer, Dr. Maeda had the best answer, and that was that things that are really, really, really scary, like COVID mouth and New World screwworm, and pretty much things that will kill humans or affect humans, those have national, global responses. But things that are specific to, like, the coconut rhinoceros beetle P strain, I'm sorry, is it the P or the G? It's the G strain that we have. Not too much research dollars are going into something like that because it's so specific. And for what it's worth, we know that winter will kill them. So, how do you import a winter? Well, you don't. You have to find the biocontrol, the solution, and New Zealand is working on it, but they quoted us $100 million to continue the research to find whether or not this virus that controls the G strain of the CRV that we have. And that was like game over, $100 million. Nobody's going to listen to us. So thank you to the university. Dr. Graywell is online. Your staff are doing heroic work with little funding. It's really hard, you know, when the Guam team came over and the New Zealand team came over and they had their workshop with us. The work is so tedious and time consuming. It's not so much that the permitting. It's not so much the permitting, it's the length of time to find the solution and the money. So New Zealand is carrying on and we'll see what we can do. But Senator Richards has the same concern you have, Rob. Hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. And Jonathan has been doing, the thing that gets thrown back at us all the time is we don't want another mongoose. Please don't bring us another mongoose. And it's evolved so much past that, as we all know, but the public perception of introducing something goes back to the mongoose. And God forbid we do that again, right? So all that to say, we're working on it, Rob. We feel your pain. Jonathan particularly gets the emails in his inbox, probably from you. I don't know, but we're working on it. It's a tough call.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Jonathan.
Diane, you're next up.
Thank you. Thank you to all the change agents that are out there working hard. Thank you to New Zealand for sharing what information they can and in the cocoa form. It's a lot of dollars they're proposing, but anyway, that's much appreciated. And to the legislature and particularly to DAB staff, along with the partners in the other agencies. I think this is really important work. And Jonathan, I just suggest that, you talk with the chair about, possibly posting this work in progress, the biosecurity framework slide deck to the pest dashboard. I think the more the public, understands that you folks are doing work, it's work in progress, you're learning, you're, experimenting and trying to make change. You will have more advocates out there, more of the public, buying in and becoming change agents themselves, whether it be as advocacy or taking initiative on their own. So, yeah, kudos to everyone. Thank you. So it's very refreshing.
Thank you. I see Jonathan writing it down. Dean Greenwald?
Yeah. Thank you, Chair Hurd and Jonathan. This is a wonderful presentation. I know you've been working hard with so many people getting their comments into this, and it is really good that we are at this stage. I did want to make a point on the permitting process and or the time it takes. We do have some work finished on some of the biocontrol agents that do need to be, that work need to be reviewed and biocontrol agents need to be released. And that need to be looked into. If that's taking too long, that's after all the investment has been already made in terms of bringing in and evaluating the biocontrol agents. So I just want to share that since Rob feels the same way, I guess. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. At that same informational briefing, the Big Island representative mentioned that he has not been stung by a nettle caterpillar, and he thanked Jonathan for that. So we have to celebrate our successes as well with biocontrol agents. Recognize, Dean, are you, do you have more to say? Dean Greenwell?
No.
Dean, are you done?
I am done, yes, sorry.
Okay, all right. If you could lower your hand. Okay, that clears the board. Any other board discussion? Seeing no hands. We're ready for the item 7, which is adjournment. We have a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
And who was that?
Rob.
Rob, thank you, Rob. And I saw Diane second.
Yes.
Moved and seconded. Welcome, Dr. Moniz. Your comments were so cogent today. Thank you for joining the board. And with that, we will adjourn the meeting and happy holidays. Meeting is adjourned at 10:55. Next meeting is January 27th at 9 a.m. Bye, everyone.
Happy
Holidays
holidays.
to all.
What is?
Thank
Holidays,
you.
everybody.